Hello and many thanks for joining us on Plus TV Africa. I'm David Alabi with the news making the headlines. Now, first in our bulletin, human rights activist Femi Falana, SAN, has called on the Acting Director General of the Department of State Services, Matthew Schaefer, to immediately release any illegally detained suspects, which he claimed to be over 100. Mr. Falana, in a letter addressed to the new DSS boss on Sunday, has advised Mr. Schaefer to use his appointment as an opportunity to purge the DSS of the rot that characterized the Lawal Dara era. Mr. Falana recorded that the Dara blatantly ignored court orders and even went as far as arresting judges who he could not cow into submission. The senior advocate of Nigeria noted that the security advisor, Colonel Dasuki, retired, the leader of the Islamic movement of Nigeria, Sheikh Ibrahim EL-Zakzaky, and his wife Zainab, as well as the journalist Jones Ebiri, were unjustly detained for years by Mr. Dara. He said in the case of Mr. EL-Zakzaky, Dara refused to allow him to get medical treatment abroad, despite the fact that he had sustained an eye injury when he was being manhandled by soldiers. Mr. Falana lamented that while Mr. Dara carried out his duties with total disregard for human rights, none of his superiors could caution him. He called on the new DSS boss to refocus the agency such that it would stop usurping the powers of the police, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, and other agencies of government. Barring any unforeseen circumstances, the High Court of Imo State will today kick off the hearing of Prince Eze Madumere's suit, challenging his impeachment. As at the last count, Mr. Madumere had filed no fewer than 4 suits to challenge every move taken by the State Chief Judge, the Speaker of Imo State House of Assembly, and Imo State House of Assembly. You'll recall that when the lawmakers put together allegations against Prince Madumere in preparation to begin the process of impeaching him, the embattled Deputy Governor sued the State Chief Judge, the Speaker of Imo State House of Assembly, and the State House of Assembly. Mr. Madumere had in the suit urged the court to make 6 declarations, 2 orders, as well as raised 8 questions he prayed the court to enter. Now, a huge blaze has razed down dozens of shops, fish stocks and other property worth millions of naira at the popular Baga Fish Market in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital. Ambusa Pinda, the public relations officer, Borno State Fire Service, who confirmed the incident, said that 4 firefighting trucks were deployed to the market and that the fire is now under control. The cause of the fire is yet unknown, but Mr. Pinda says the service will investigate the cause. Meanwhile, a trader at the market, Muhammad Labu, told the news agency of Nigeria that the fire started at about 10:30 p.m., suggesting that it was caused by an electrical fault since they had all closed shops for the day. Away from that sad development, the Nigerian army said calm has been restored at the Maiduguri airport, seized for 2 hours on Sunday by riotous troops that it described as unscrupulous in a statement today. Colonel Onyema stated that the situation has already come back to normalcy. Protests by the few unscrupulous troops had happened while the command was conducting a redeployment of soldiers at the Maiduguri airport following a directive to review troops deployment in Maiduguri metropolis to invigorate the security architecture of the city. And I quote, "The redeployment became expedient after a recent assessment of the security situation by the theater command. Regrettably, however, a few of the troops who had misunderstood the development and erroneously assumed it was going to negatively affect their rotation from the theater of the command became agitated and reacted by firing into the air. Calm has, however, been restored as the theater commander, Major General Abadiko, has promptly taken charge of the situation after addressing and admonishing the troops. The aggrieved soldiers claimed that they had overstayed and were resisting redeployment to Mate, one of the towns liberated by military several years ago from the control of Boko Haram terrorists. The protesters are part of the special force deployed to provide air defense and enhance security at the airport. No fewer than 4 operatives of Inspector General of Police Intelligence Response Team were killed on Saturday in Kaduna State by gunmen suspected to be kidnappers. 6 of the kidnappers were also killed in the exchange of gunfire. The leader of the team, Abba Kyari, a deputy commissioner of police, confirmed the killings and the deaths of the gallant policemen to the news agency of Nigeria on Sunday. He said the incident had happened when the suspected gunmen ambushed the operatives during a follow-up operation on the kidnapping of one Sheikh Ahmed Ahmad in Rigasa area of Kaduna State on August 2nd, and his subsequent release after ransom was paid. Quote, "Those killed are 3 inspectors, including Bernard Odibo, Maman Abubakar, Aruna Ibrahim, and 1 sergeant, Emmanuel Estefanus." End of quote. Mr. Kyari has said serious efforts are on course to make sure they are brought to book. In light of the recent nationwide backlash of the End SARS movement being advocated, Plus TV Africa's Ifeoluwa Oshukoye spoke to Police Commissioner in charge of Federal SARS CP Haliru Gwandu and says according to the Police Act and Regulation, it gives them guidelines on how to punish errant members.
Any SARS member who has committed wrong can certainly be fished out and punished accordingly, according to the law of the land. Under the police duties, we have what is called orderly room. We'll do the orderly room trial. If it warrants dismissal, you'll be dismissed. If it warrants reduction in rank, you'll be reduced. And where it requires that the way and the manner you err, you have to be dismissed and charged to court as well. We do same. We don't hide criminals. We don't tolerate criminals in uniform. We don't tolerate criminals in uniform. As far as I'm concerned, they have to operate within the ambit of the law. Anybody who has done anything contrary will have to pay in for a price. The law is very clear. We have the office of the police public relations officer. We have police complaint office. We have Sabicom. We have all the commanders. We have all the CPs of the states. We have the area commanders. Wherever the SARS are operating, they have to report themselves that they are within that area of jurisdiction. Their identity must be known. It's not hidden. In case of any infraction, they have to be checkmated. We have to call them to order. And that is by the process of putting them into the process of ordinary.
That was the police commissioner in charge of the federal SARS, Haliru Gwandu. Now we'll take a break and the rest of the news continues shortly. Do stay with us. Glad to have you back. Now talking health, the World Health Organization Director General Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus has called for free and secure access to the Ebola-affected people in the conflict-affected region of North Kivu in the Democratic Republic of Congo. He said after seeing firsthand the complexities of the Ebola response that unhindered access to the disease-affected people was necessary in order to bring the outbreak under control. Quote, "The population must always have access to treatment centers that save lives and stop the spread of the disease. While the latest outbreak was the country's 10th, it was the first time that the disease had struck a densely populated active conflict zone," WHO said, as was done in the recent outbreak in the west of the country, WHO said it was supporting the Ministry of Health in DRC in key aspects of response. A little more than a week since the government declared the new Ebola outbreak, Mr. Tedros and other top officials who went on a 2-day mission to the city of Beni, as well as Megina, the epicenter. We now move over to Mali, where voters in a runoff election voted on Sunday, but observers reported that the turnout was low, with several polling stations coming under attack from armed men and one election official killed. Thousands of soldiers were mobilized to provide security following an inconclusive first round last month that was marred by militant attacks and opposition accusations of fraud. The Mali Citizen Observation Pool, POCIM, said there had been a persistent climate of tension in some polling stations in Ségou, Bamako, and several other localities in the runoff. Despite problems, the elections had generally been conducted well, European Union observers said in a preliminary comment. In the worst incident, armed men killed the chairman of the electoral office in Akodia village in Niafunke region in the northern Mali region, an army spokesman said, confirming observers' reports. Incumbent President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta, 73, is expected to win a second term, even though he has been unable to stem a surge in the ethnic and militant violence. However, opposition challenger Soumaïla Sy, 68, a former finance minister, said he was confident of victory, but also accused the government camp of trying to stuff ballot boxes. President of the United States, Donald Trump, has approved a new law that imposes tough new conditions that must be met by Zimbabwe before sanctions are lifted. The U.S. law says that the Zimbabwean army must respect the fundamental rights and freedoms of all persons and be non-partisan in character. The Zimbabwe Democracy and Economic Recovery Amendment Act, which was signed into law on Friday, states that for sanctions to end, Zimbabwe's July 30 poll must be widely accepted as free and fair. President Emmerson Mnangagwa has said the Southern African nation is open for business, but the U.S. law could weaken his plan. Zimbabweans went to the polls to elect a new leader in the first post-Mugabe poll, which the opposition movement for Democratic Change Alliance has filed a legal challenge against. We move over to Indonesia, where quick death toll hits 400 as more bodies are recovered. Details of this and more when we return. Welcome back. And now on the foreign scene, the death toll from an earthquake in the Indonesian island of Lombok has topped 400. Authorities said on Monday, as bodies were still being recovered from the ruins of destroyed buildings. The shallow 6.9 magnitude quake on August 5 leveled tens of thousands of homes, mosques and businesses across Lombok, just a few weeks after another tremor surged through the island and killed 17. National Disaster Agency spokesman Sutopo Purwo Nugroho said search and rescue teams are still removing victims from where they were buried beneath collapsed buildings and landslides. The total number killed in the quake is now 436, Nugroho said, with more than 1,300 injured and nearly 353,000 displaced. The hardest hit region of Lombok has been in the north, where 374 people died and more than 137 have been forced from their homes, according to the latest official tolls. Most of the displaced are sleeping under tents or trampolines near the ruined homes or in evacuation shelters where makeshift medical facilities have been provided. Split open roads, particularly in the mountainous north of the island, are still proven to be a major headache for relief agencies trying to distribute aid. Mr. Nugroho said that 3 helicopters, including one from the military, have been used to drop supplies to isolated communities, many of which were urgently needing clean water, food, bedding, and medicine. More than 300 people have been injured and 5 seriously wounded after a section of wooden platform collapsed at an urban sports and music festival in Spain. It had been packed with people watching a rap artist at a 2-day event in the northwest city of Vigo in Galicia. Police confirmed that there were no known fatalities. Witnesses reported scenes of panic as people, many of them teenagers, tried to scramble for safety. Some fell into the sea. Personal items such as mobile phones and handbags were left scattered on the ground. Several emergency teams attended to the injured and divers were sent into the sea to check that no one was trapped beneath the structure. North and South Korea have agreed on Monday to hold a summit in the north in September, another step towards boosting cooperation between the old rivals, even as doubts grow over efforts to end North's nuclear weapon program. Officials from both sides meeting in Tru's village of Panmunjom in the demilitarized zone that separates the two Koreas reached an agreement on September's summit between the country's leaders in the North's capital of Pyongyang. No date was announced for what will be the third meeting this year. between North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and South Korean President Moon Jae-in. They first met in April in Panmunjom, a remarkable thaw in ties after more than a year of rising tensions and fears of war over the North's development of nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles. They therefore agreed that Moon would visit the North's capital in the autumn, though the pair met again in May in an unannounced meeting at Panmunjom. Up next is our business report with Ididion Iwang. Stay tuned.
This is Business News. I'm Edidion Iwang. The federal government of Nigeria has launched a new initiative under the Government Enterprise and Empowerment Program called the Trader Money. The scheme is expected to provide a minimum of 30,000 loans to 2 million petty traders across the state of the Federation between now and the end of the year. The Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Laolu Akonde, in a statement said the loans are repayable within a period of 6 months, and the goal is to ensure financial inclusion down to the grassroots. In order to identify the beneficiaries, no less than 4,000 enumeration agents have been engaged by the Bank of Industry. Trader Money was launched last Tuesday in 5 markets in Lagos State with tens of thousands beneficiaries already. A market women leader in Lagos, Mufiat Adewumi, said the development will help ordinary Nigerians who cannot have access to commercial banks' credit facilities because they do not have collateral. She said, and I quote, "We are happy about the Trader Money because this is what we have been expecting for long, that the government should assist the masses, especially the traders. We thank the federal government," end of quote. Otunde Popoala, the managing director of CRC Credit Bureau, has lamented the poor credit accessibility from financial institutions. This implies a more efficient allocation of credit at lower interest rates and higher economic growth and a more diversified credit distribution. He disclosed this in Lagos at the 5th National Credit Reporting Conference themed Expanding the Frontiers of Access to Credit in Nigeria. According to him, only less than 15 million persons had enjoyed at least one form of credit from the banking institutions. He said credit bureaus coverage remains low in Nigeria at 8%, compared with 64% in South Africa, 25% in Egypt, and 17% in Ghana. Nigeria's exposure to commercial loans has risen by 486.67% in the last 3 years, as the loans now make up 39.87% of the country's external debt portfolio. The nation's foreign commercial loans have risen to $8.8 billion, and that's according to data obtained from Debt Management Office. A further analysis of the debt statistics shows the commercial debts make up 39.87% of the nation's $22.07 billion external exposure. The head National Advocacy Social Development Integrated Center, Vivian Bello Okafo, said the increase in the nation's external loans generally had far-reaching economic implications. Global oil prices today have dipped with rising tensions, which have dented fuel demand growth outlook. Brent crude futures at $72.36 per barrel. That shows an 18% drop from the last one. West Texas Intermediate crude futures still remain at $67.63 a barrel, and that's the same as the last closing price. Escalating tensions between the world's largest economies, as the United States and China, have cast a looming shadow on global oil demand growth in 2018. Also, the United States has started implementing new sanctions against Iran, which is the third largest producer, and from November will also target the country's petroleum sector. Well, that's it on Business News. But still ahead is our roundup on entertainment and sports. We'll be back in a moment.
And in entertainment, Afro-soul singer Simfiwe Dana is set to be one of the headlining acts for the 6th Vodacom DSTV Delicious International Food and Music Festival. The event will take place in September at the Kialami Grand Prix Circuit in Midrand. The star will be joined by soul singer Lyra on the Womandla stage. The songstress, known for her vocality on issues that affect society, said she hoped that through her performance she can communicate a strong message against femicide in the country. Ugandan-born socialite Zari Hassan has leaped to the defense of model Hamisa Mobeto's son, Dylan. The boy was the product of Hamisa's love affair, singer Diamond Platnumz, while the latter was in a relationship with Zari. The affair led to Zari's breakup with Diamond. For months now, Zari has been on war of words with Hamisa on social media. However, in a rare kind of gesture, Zari said she does not have any problem with Hamisa's son because he is an innocent victim in the dispute. Nigerian singer Emma Naira, who was once signed on to Ubi Franklin's MMMG Records, gave birth to two beautiful children named Alexandria and Alexander on the 11th of August 2018 at about 2 a.m. after 36 hours of labor. The singer made the announcement a few moments ago with a lengthy post that reads, "I have never been so inspired and full of love as I am today. With style and full force, you've both entered this world and forever impacted my destiny. My career has been my top priority for the past 10 years of my life, so you can imagine that I was surprised and shocked for what God had in store for me. Last year, I overbooked and overworked myself tirelessly just to be able to accomplish one of my biggest goals, which was to move into my dream home in Lagos." And that's it on entertainment, the very best in sports, right after this.
Hello and welcome to Sports Update on Plus TV Africa. I'm Maureen Folukufeji. In table tennis, Nigeria's Aruna Kadri defeated France's Antoine Achard 4-2 in the final of the men's single to become the first ever Nigerian to win the ITTF Challenge Nigeria Open. He went home with the prize money of $5,000 and also won the Fair Play Award for his honest gesture in the final, which earned his opponent a point. The Lagos State Governor was present at the history-making event and gave the Commonwealth finalists a bonus of 1 million naira. He also gave bonuses to the Nigerian representatives who made it past the group stages of their respective events. And Nigeria's under-21 sensation Ayonwale Jamiu was awarded the best Nigerian young player of the tournament, earning himself $200. Moving on to football, Bayern Munich have won the German Super Cup for a third consecutive season after the Bundesliga champions beat Eintracht Frankfurt 5-0 on Sunday night. Star striker Robert Lewandowski scored a hat-trick with added goals from substitute Kingsley Coman and Spanish midfielder Thiago Alcantara, rounding off the convincing victory to seal the win. It was revenge for Bayern, who were beaten 3-1 by Frankfurt in last season's German Cup. That's it from the Sports Update. I'm Maureen Folukufeji.
Many thanks, Maureen Folu. And now that's our roundup of events at this hour. For more news updates, please follow us on Plus TV Africa. That's on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. And do remember to subscribe to our YouTube page at Plus TV Africa. We'll be back later with more stories making the headlines. Many thanks for watching. I'm David Alabi. Enjoy the rest of your day.